Hello, friends. Welcome back to For the Plot. Believe it or not, this is my third attempt at recording this week's episode. After the drama of last week's audio, I got really anxious about it. And so I've already recorded a full version of this and then a shorter version of this, but I accidentally pressed pause on the audio both times. In any case, I am very excited to be back, hopefully in better quality than last week. I actually just got back from coffee with friends this morning. So pretty much every morning we go for this coffee after training at the gym. And one of our friends this morning was wearing these really, really nice black boots. They were kind of like almost moon boot style, but a little bit less chunky and a little bit less warm. And another friend was asking, "Hey, I really like those. What brand are they?" And my friend explained they're UGG boots. And I was like, "Oh my god, I have not thought about UGG boots in years." So this was like a cultural phenomenon when we were between the ages of maybe like 11 and 13. UGG boots were incredibly popular. They were very on trend. But I'm pretty sure in our school there was maybe like two people that had the real ones, like the real UGG brand. Most people had these knockoff ones. And I would say that the defining characteristic of this type of shoe, these UGG boots, if you don't know what UGG boots are, the ones that I'm thinking of, they were basically like suede or faux suede on the outside and then fur lined. And this was always quite funny to me because I think it's an Australian brand and I don't really associate Australia with needing warm footwear. Anyway, there were all of these knockoff Uggs. And yeah, the defining characteristic of this shoe was that the sole of the shoe, the bottom of the shoe would basically wear away so that it was kind of on a slope, like slanted. So the outside of your foot would be higher than the inside of your foot. Your big toe and the inside and your arch would basically be like closer to the ground. And so then people would basically be walking with like their knees slightly turned inwards. And we were talking about this morning, and apparently this was also a cultural phenomenon here in Germany and in Denmark. And I'm really wondering what the long term impact is on mostly women who were wearing these Ugg boots at the time and their hip and any dysplasias that they might have as a result of wearing these fake Ugg boots, because it wasn't healthy to be walking like that when your bones and joints were still forming, I'm so sure. So this past week has been both mentally and physically demanding. I have been back training in the gym, back on program, recovering from my back injury. So I did my first heavy sessions yesterday and the day before, and it's been really, really nice being back in the gym properly. But I've noticed like a big energy shift. The mornings are a little bit lighter. The weather is better here in Berlin now. There's this more of this, like, I don't know, spring lightness energy. And I notice it especially in the gym. And the other thing that I noticed, and I'm equal parts elated and devastated, the gym bros, like the archetypal straight cis man, the gym bros have discovered long sleeve t shirts that are slightly too small for them. And so they end up being slightly cropped. Oh, man. I think this is one of the sluttiest things that a man can wear, like a slightly cropped long sleeve t-shirt. So I have seen in the last 2 days in the gym, 3 different men wearing this kind of like slightly too small long sleeve t-shirt. And honestly, I'm looking respectfully. I think it's so slutty and I love it and I'm here for it. But at the same time, it's making things very confusing because they're not supposed to know about these kind of things. They're not supposed to understand how to dress for the female gaze. So I don't know what like gym bro influencer has learned about the female gaze and how to appeal to it. Um, but honestly, I guess they're doing the Lord's work. So carry on. Got me thinking about other things that I think are quite slutty that men can do. And I thought I would just share a few of them with you. I really like when a man is riding a bike. First off, it's a huge green flag when a man is riding a bike. Extra points if he's wearing a helmet. I'm always wearing a helmet. But aside from that, when he's riding a bike and the bike is still moving, but he like swings his leg over the frame to come off of the bike whilst it's still slightly in motion. I think this is so slutty. And it's why I am like constantly in a slight state of adrenaline when I go to Amsterdam, because this seems to be the normal way for men to get off their bikes in the Netherlands. So yeah, very slutty if you can swing your leg over your bike whilst it's still moving to get off of it. I also think it's slutty when a cis straight man asks you for your pronouns and respects them. And I have spoken to a lot of my queer, femme, and bisexual and pansexual friends about this. This one is real people. So if you are a cis straight man, take note, ask for pronouns, it's slutty. But then at the same time, you're like, wow, my God, the bar is so low because most queer people would ask you this like just by way of introduction. However, for some reason, when a cis straight man does it, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Then the final one, which I think probably comes from my own habits and hydration anxiety, let's call it. I think it's really slutty when a man drinks water. Again, the bar is so low. I'm like, yeah, I just like it when men are hydrated. I like when they take care of their hydration. I like when they drink water. I think it's slutty, when they like fill up a glass and they drink from it, or like extra slutty points if they are carrying a water bottle with them. Like they're already thinking in advance about their hydration. That's hot. That's really hot. So yeah, it's slutty season at the gym and probably everywhere else as well. But I've been mostly spending time getting back into the headspace of the gym. My weekend was actually alarmingly chilled. Like I did very normal things this weekend. Like I um met friends for coffee, I went for a walk, I had brunch, and then on Saturday evening I did something very on me. I basically stayed in and watched a film. Yep. My roommate was also in. She was like very hungover. And so we ordered burgers and fries and then we watched the Peaky Blinders film. And I actually wanted to watch it anyway because I'm a fan of Peaky Blinders. I think that Cillian Murphy is one of the best humans on the earth. I love how much he just doesn't give a fuck about shit. And I particularly like him as Tommy Shelby. But this is not that type of podcast. I'm not about to give you a film review. However, I was planning to watch it and I texted both of my roommates to say, hey, I want to watch Peaky Blinders tonight. Does anyone want to join? However, when I sent this text, my phone basically auto-corrected Peaky Blinders to Pesky Blunders. Which I think is a really funny typo and definitely would be like a satire that I would watch. Could really imagine it would definitely be like kids playing it, right? It's like one of these films where kids are doing adult things, kind of like Richie Rich. So the kids would be the gangsters, but they would still be wearing like the peak caps and the long coats and the three-piece suits, and they would be running around. It would be very slapstick and silly, and they'd be like, "Oh, those pesky blunders." Anyway, we watched Peaky Blinders. Well, first I'm going to tell you about my horoscope app. These two things are actually related in some very loose way. So on Sunday, I check my horoscope. I check my horoscope apps every day. I use the pattern and I use CoStar. And I'm not big into horoscopes, but I have dated women in the past who were into horoscopes. Therefore, I have these apps properly set up and they're sort of like the legacy of these relationships past. So every day I check the pattern and I check CoStar. And CoStar, it will give you like your daily horoscope and it has this summary of things called like your day at a glance or something. And it gives you three things that you should do and three things that you shouldn't. And they're usually like hyper specific, like do drink chai tea, uh watch an old cartoon, or like sometimes it will feel like too close to the bone, like don't shout at your boss. And it's like, fuck, I really wanted to shout at my boss. And on Sunday, CoStar told me one of my don'ts was don't have hot takes. So no hot takes. However, I did announce whilst we were watching Peaky Blinders at the start. It opens and it's like 1930s, um, late 1930s or early 40s, and it's set in Birmingham, and it opens on this amazing scene of like women working in a factory, and it's someone's birthday and someone's brought a cake. And I turned to my roommate and I was like, hot take, I think it would have been so fun to be there in England during the war as a woman. Because You got to go and work in these environments that you never worked in before. Maybe you never even worked before. You were surrounded by all of these women. You all had this like shared cause, shared purpose, and there were no men around. It sounds fucking idyllic, like utopian. So I expressed this, and then no joke, like 3 seconds after I'd finished saying this, the scene that we were watching with all these women in the factory was bombed and it exploded, and there were no survivors. And my roommate looked at me and was like, maybe you should keep your hot takes to yourself. So then the next day when my horoscope was saying, don't do hot takes, was like, fair. No more hot takes. One other thing that I did last week was I was driving. So I've been driving since I was 17. I'm a very good driver. I enjoy driving a lot, but I haven't driven a lot in Berlin because I don't need to. I ride my bike everywhere, or there's just like nowhere that I really need a car to get to. Um, but I have some, yeah, I basically have some friends who need some support, and I can foresee it happening more over the next couple of months. And I just don't want to get into a situation where I need to drive or I want to be able to offer to drive and I feel too nervous or anxious to. So my plan was basically, okay, gonna just hire a car and drive around a little bit and just like dust off the cobwebs. And then I thought, no, actually, I kind of need a purpose. And in the end, what ended up happening as my purpose was one of my roommates was going to a party in Charlottenburg, and we live in Neukölln, and this is really far away. Like if you're going by public transport, it was like I don't know, an hour and 10 minutes or something like this. So I was like, hey, I'll drive you because it's only a half-hour drive. And she said, yeah, that's cool. Then what ended up happening was we became this big convoy because she had other friends who were going who also thought that it was far. So then we ended up making 3 stops on the way before going to the party. But it wasn't the actual driving that I was anxious about. What I was really anxious about was like starting and stopping the car. Back in the UK, I only ever drove like a manual car and it always had a key. And now car technology has advanced, people. So now sometimes you just like unlock the car with an app and then there's a button that you press that starts it. So we hired this car, opened it with the app, got in, couldn't find the button to start it, eventually found it, and then I realized there was kind of like a gear stick situation, but it wasn't automatic. So it was basically just to put it in park, reverse, neutral, or drive, I guess. I am not exaggerating when I say we were sitting there with me revving the engine for 12 minutes whilst I tried to figure out what fucking setting this thing needed to be on so that we could drive. And then, of course, because I'm used to driving on the other side of the road and driving a manual, my left hand would usually go on the gear stick. But instead, just out of instinct and reflex, I kept like hitting it off the door like it had some sort of muscle spasm because I was trying to find the gear stick to change gears so that I could take off. Anyway, I am happy to report that it was a very successful drive. And the app that I used, the thing that was kind of alarming is at no point did it ask for my driver's license or like a photo of my driver's license. I just had to put pictures of my face to confirm my identity. And yeah, I don't know. That was a little bit alarming. I was also trying to drive like very perfectly because I saw in the app, and this is where I'm so annoyed that I get caught by these like app gamification things. You basically get like a driving score and it's rated on like how well you adhere to the speed limit, how well you park, like how well you generally handle the road. And I'm doubly pleased to report to you that my driving score is 100%. Story time this week is also related to something that happened last week. As you know, I was in a show called Forgive Me, Father, for I Have Sinned. And it was a wonderful show about Jesus going into the desert for 40 days and 40 nights and meeting Satan and Satan showing him these temptations and him eventually realizing he was queer and he didn't want to go to heaven, he wanted to go to hell and enjoy his time with Satan and the rest of the queer people. The number that I was doing in this, I was dressed as a priest, and the costume that I was wearing, I'd borrowed from someone that I perform with, and it's a tearaway costume now. So basically, it was turned into a tearaway costume where you can rip the sleeves off and you can rip the bottom part of it off. This particular venue that we are in is quite a chaotic venue to perform in because it's got a tiny, tiny, tiny backstage. And when I say backstage, what it actually is like a converted cupboard where there's enough space for, I would say it's about the length of like a desk that you would work at. There's mirrors and then there's like a bench. We were 11 performers all sharing this space to put our stuff in. So of course it was going to be a bit chaotic. When I'm performing, I'm quite meticulous. So when I'm packing my bag on the way to a performance, it's basically like a double checklist. I have like everything that I need to take, my props, my costume, my makeup, and I check it off once I've packed it to take it there. And then when I'm leaving the venue, I check it off again once it's back in my bag. So I performed, and during my number, I had two people on stage rip the sleeves off of the priest costume for me. At some point, I took the whole thing off, and I also removed my top. When I came off stage, I realized I needed my top for the final number. So I like grabbed our stage manager and was like, hey, can you grab my top? I need it for the final number. She goes onto the stage. She brings me my top, but she also brought the priest costume and the sleeves and handed them to me. I go backstage, put them next to my bag, put my top on, go and finish the performance. Great. Good times. We're all having a lovely time with everyone who came to see us. At some point, I get tired and I'm like, okay, time to pack up and go home. So I go to the backstage, I pack my makeup, I pack my costumes, I'm like checking everything off the list. Yes, priest costume, left sleeve, right sleeve, cloak, devil horns, like all these things that I needed, packed them, and I went home. When I was unpacking at home, like on the same night of the show, I started unpacking. I was like, okay, makeup goes away, this stuff goes here. Took out the priest costume. I wanted to put it back together with both of the sleeves so that I could wash it. And when I went to do that, I was like, okay, I have the priest costume. Here's one sleeve. Ah, I had not taken the second sleeve, but I had taken a random black scarf. So I texted in the group of performers, hey everyone, this is really annoying and I'm so sorry about this, but I have taken someone's black scarf instead of the other priest sleeve. I only have one sleeve. Please could you all check your bags? Please could you check the venue? It would be really annoying to lose this. And the next day, my friend who was organizing the performance had like a bag of lost property. She looked through it. She couldn't find the sleeve. I was like, fuck. We really need to find this. So I decided to go back to the venue. I cycled to the venue. Unfortunately, by the time I arrived at the venue, the event for that night was already on, which was a gay bingo or something like that. So I couldn't like snoop around the stage and look for the sleeve. I told the staff at the venue, hey, I'm looking for the sleeve. Can you keep an eye out for it? They're like, yeah, of course. I checked the backstage again. I checked all of the common areas. No sign of the sleeve. So I got home, texted in the group again, hey, people, the sleeve didn't turn up at the venue. Please, can everyone check their bags again? The next day, my friend went to check the venue again. No luck. I'm like, oh my God, this sleeve is gone forever. This is really sad. We're going to have to make a new one. It's going to be a lot of faff. But mostly I just felt bad because generally I take very good care of my own and other people's costumes. And I'm so meticulous before and after a show. So it was really kind of like hard on myself. And I was quite stressed about it the whole week. Then I woke up on Friday morning and I saw a text in the group. And it was one of the other performers. And she said, hey, I haven't actually been home the last few days. I've just gotten home and unpacked my bag now. And I have the other priest sleeve. I was like, hallelujah. Oh my God, this is so good. So I texted her and I said, hey, I'm so happy that you have the priest sleeve. And really, this is when you realize how heavy something is weighing on you. I was like so excited that she had this sleeve. So we arranged that I would go and pick it up from her while she was working. So at some point I go to collect the sleeve, but I was kind of in a rush because it was like in a break from work. So I cycle there, I pick up the sleeve. I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much. I'll see you soon. Whatever. I leave, I go home. Then I went to meet someone else, and then the rest of my day just got a bit chaotic. I eventually get home late on Friday evening, and I take the bag with the priest sleeve in it, and I open it, and it was not the priest sleeve, but in fact, it was a nun habit. So there was just a bit of a misunderstanding around what a priest sleeve was. And I took it out, and honestly, my heart sunk. And I was like, oh, for God's sake. So then I wrote in the group, like, hey, people, unfortunately, it was not the other priest sleeve. I'm now offering, in exchange for the priest sleeve, a black scarf and a nun's habit. Is anyone missing a nun's habit? Oh my god. So then I was also saying this is gonna become like a true crime documentary called The Other Sleeve, where I go like fucking crazy trying to track down this sleeve. The current working theory with the group of performers is that someone's taken it as a souvenir because after the performance, we saw someone. I also had like this cardboard cross that I threw to the audience, and someone had that, but it's just a piece of cardboard, so I don't care. And they were like cradling it and cuddling it, and that was their souvenir. And I've had it many times in the past at shows where someone has like taken my top as a souvenir or taken a prop as a souvenir. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's like some random lesbian in Berlin who has this other sleeve. Anyway, I think next I might even start putting up posters or like get my friend to put a post on social media or something because I really want to track down this sleeve. So this week's lore is maybe actually it's not really from the past, but it might be lore being created. I was co-working with some friends last week, and one of them was telling me about an advert that he saw for a cafe, and he had this moment where he was like, "I'm going to quit my job and start this cafe concept." And he told me, "Yeah, I found the ad on Craigslist." And this was so rogue to me because like Craigslist, I associate with America. It's really not big in the UK. We have Gumtree there, and I don't think it's that big in Germany. We have Kleinanzeigen here, which is basically the same thing. These like classified ads. I was like, wow, I wonder what else is on Craigslist. So this week I spent a little bit of time just checking out what is there, and there's not much there. Even so, I found some really funny adverts that I want to share with you. The first one, it's kind of funny, it's kind of sad. The title of the ad is Cognitive Stimulation. I am looking for a treatment of transvestism, magnetic stimulation to augment and stimulate my cognition. Please help. Um, so the reason I say this is sad is because this person is trying to find a cure for their transvestism. Like I guess they're cross-dressing, um, and they want to cure it, but they want to cure it using magnetic stimulation to stimulate their cognition. Whatever the fuck that means. There's so much to actually try and dig into and understand there. But I would not respond to this ad because I don't know what they want. The second ad that I saw is from Outthinks. Stand out with Outthinks originality training. Originality is the source of all human progress. We help ambitious professionals discover the magic of bold ideas via originality training. Note, online service only, as we are based in Queensland, Australia. Such a random ad. First off, what the heck is originality training? And second, what is a firm from Queensland, Australia doing posting on Berlin Craigslist? I was almost tempted to respond to that one just because I was very curious about what originality training was. Okay, here we go. Beekeeping business closure, seeking successor, takeover possible immediately. 9 colonies. Wooden hives and materials for 15 colonies. So basically, this person has grown 9 colonies of bees, and now they have too many, and they are not able to commit to their bees anymore, and they're looking for someone to take over the business. And I was just laughing so much, like thinking about the logistics of this. Imagine you respond to this ad, and you're like, "Yep, I will take the 9 colonies of bees and the 15 hives." What does the transport of bees look like? Like, typically, I'm like picking stuff off in a car or a Miles van. I can't really imagine going somewhere and collecting bees and taking them away in a van like that. Just, I don't know, it doesn't feel legit. Anyway, if anyone has ever transported bees, let me know how you did that. Again, like curiosity level to respond to that advert was quite high. This one is shocking. This is so funny. The advert title is Fake Couple Therapist in Berlin. Hey there. Are you tired of your significant other or loved one always blaming you for everything? I got you. I provide a service where I act as a therapist and convince your loved one that they are wrong about everything. Got a question? Ask it. Yes, this is a 100% real service that I offer. This is the most toxic Berlin shit ever. Can you imagine how mad you would be if your partner arranged couples therapy and you were like, oh my goodness, this is so great. We're going to work on the relationship. And then it's actually a fake couples therapist who's just gaslighting you. My God, this is so funny. Even if it's not real, it's still a genius idea. And then, of course, we are in Berlin and Craigslist is shady as fuck. So there are some slightly spicier adverts. Hello, I am looking for a sweet Thai woman in Berlin who can host a sensual Thai massage with happy end. Let's have a sweet time together. Now, the funny thing about these ads is that they have this little disclaimer at the end, and it says, principals only. Recruiters, please don't contact this job poster. Typically, you see this on job descriptions where the companies want to like screen people themselves and they're not interested in working with recruiters or paying a recruiter fee. But I absolutely love the idea that there's like a recruiter going to contact this person on the ad and be like, hi there, I've got 3 perfect candidates to offer you a Thai massage with a happy ending. Shall I screen them for you and send them through? Recruiters need not reply. Hilarious. Next one. Facial lotion for sale, €29. Make yourself feel bigger, better, and stronger than ever and let your skin shine with facial semen. Self-made with an asterisk, high quality, organic, delivered directly by producer, ladies only. The asterisk leads to guy, 48 years, fun, fit, tall. Oh my goodness, facial lotion for sale. Oh my god. It's definitely been a trend at some point where people were putting semen on their face, so maybe he's onto something. I don't know. The last one I'm going to share with you is one that actually caught my attention. Easy job in Berlin. Watch series. Hello. I'm looking for someone to work on an... Okay, and here it's basically like the letters are all separated with a space. I'm looking for someone to work on a FOOTREST study. So a footrest study. Do you sometimes spend hours watching films? Or do you sometimes spend half the day surfing the internet? Then you might be the right person for my footrest study. Simply explained what I mean. I'm a sub, which means I like to serve as a footrest for women or for a group, whilst you watch TV, surf the internet, work, or just hang out on the sofa. Now, I am quite involved in this world of kink and sex work and sex positivity. And I'm always pretty fascinated by these more like submissive kinks and the fetishes that people derive pleasure from. Like really in a curiosity way, because I don't have any of these, let's say, atypical kinks myself. And I usually find the people very interesting. So I've heard of this like human furniture kink before, but I didn't actually know anyone or I've never met anyone who was exploring it. And so, I mean, yes, this podcast is titled For the Plot. So for the plot, I responded to this advert. I emailed them and said, hey, I saw your ad on Craigslist. I'd be really interested to learn more. And they replied, we had an exchange, and we ended up meeting for a coffee at the weekend. And so, yeah, we met for a coffee, and this man, he explained to me, yes, I'm submissive. I'm really into being human furniture. I like having people rest their feet on me. I really get a kick out of it. The way that it would work whenever you're working or if you're watching TV or if you're just chilling out, I like that you rest your feet on me. And this is a service that he pays for. So, long story short, he's going on holiday for the next 2 weeks. And when he returns, I'm going to have a new footrest, people. Thank you very much for once again tuning into For the Plot, especially if you made it through last week's horrific audio. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate you. Wherever you're listening, please follow it, please subscribe, please give it a like, give it a rating, and please also share it with someone who you think might enjoy it. I will see you next time.